This is the last part of my demo. I made this little area here where the character will take some sort of damage. The idea here was that this is a cold area, and the longer the player stays in that zone, the more he loses health points. As he loses those health points, a couple things will happen to the audio. Let's take a listen. Before going in, I want to take your attention on this speaker real quick. This works on the same principle as all of the other speakers in the level, but this one is a little different. Don't focus on it too much, as this is there just to prove something later on, but here is what's different about it. So this is another blueprint, but the principles stay the same. Although there is no such thing as left and right channel. There is only one AK component and one Wwise event, and of course the state is set to gloom. This event is also based on the same exact principle of the stereo speakers event, but instead of having mono track, this event has the same exact pieces of music, but in stereo. Again, Gloom has a delay of 0.5 seconds to be on par with its mono counterparts. These are also routed to their own audio bus with an effect that simulates a low-quality sound system. If this doesn't make that much sense, I invite you to go watch the Using Blueprint and Music segments to simulate a pair of stereo video. So anyway, as I said, don't focus too much on that. Back to the main subject here. Okay, couple things going on here. Let's start with the area itself. How does the engine know what to do as the player is running in that exact location? For this, I created a blueprint consisting of a box collision and an AK component that we call a Wwise event. Here is what that event is made out of. Let's start with the first element. This is a blend container consisting of two exact same random containers. Those random containers contains pretty much the same thing, heavy gust sounds. Why are they separated like this? Because a little bit like those speakers I was talking about earlier in this demo, those are mono tracks. Each random containers have been panned a little bit to the left and to the right. And both have a light randomizer on their volume and pitch. Both are also looping indefinitely, and each sound SFX inside are smoothly cross-fading between each other. An attenuation curve have also been enabled so that as the player enters the area, the wind will slowly fade in. The result of that is a bootleg stereo looping wind sound that could run for hours without even sounding the same. Next element on that list is this. This is where the RTPCs will be starting to shine. This is a simple sine wave generated by the built-in tone generator. I didn't really tweak the parameter. Instead, RTPCs are driving some changes. First is the overall volume, then the LFO amount, and the LFO frequency. In other words, the more the player is taking damage, or the longer the player stays in the Mr. Freeze area, the more the volume, LFO depth, and LFO frequency will be turned up. There is also an RTPC on the LFO depth on the tremolo effect I inserted on that sine wave. This is just to add a little bit of variation as the player is losing health. This RTPC is also affecting everything else in the level via a low-pass filter. The third element in the event is actually those three together. Those are actually from the pieces of music I was talking about. Let's head into Ableton to see what are they exactly. As I said in the intro of this demo, those tracks are my own productions, so I imported one MIDI files corresponding to the main melody from each track into Ableton and simply piped them into my Moog Mother 32. The Moog Mother 32 is a little tabletop semi-modular analog synthesizer. Here is the final result. Those were then imported inside music segments in Wwise. Those music segments were then placed inside individual music playlist container. At that point, the same principle as the usual music inside the other speakers in the level is applied. Music playlist container is looping, states has been programmed so that each time it is changed, the corresponding melody will be played, and all three melodies are starting right at the start of the level. Since those melodies have had their tempo and key signatures set accordingly, just like the other music pieces, those should play in tandem with their respective songs in the level.